It's been Agatha all along. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Cinema Smoketography. I'm your friendly neighborhood hookologist. Joining me today is no one. Although I don't know where Isaac is. He was supposed to be here. I told him to meet me when he got off of work, but I kind of feel like I'm forgetting something. So, Wanda Vision episode. What are we on? Episode 7? No, yeah, 7. No, yeah, 7. Episode 7. The Case of a Mondays. Am I right? I fucking knew it. I knew this one was coming. We now go into the Office, Modern Family, early 2000s. No, maybe, yeah. Like this day and age kind of sitcoms. Love it. They have the fourth wall breaking, and that's the title of this episode, Breaking the Fourth Wall. And they do it quite a bit. So they have those single shot interviews, and it's pretty fun. So, let's get started. We're going to give it, the breakdown pretty much. We get a recap of what has happened. Wanda just expanded the hex. The sword base turned into a carnival and everything else. So Wanda's now just trying to figure everything out. She just wants to lay in bed, and the intro kind of mimics The Office, having the piano play and just say Wanda, 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 Wanda. And then they have a nice little Easter egg for Stan Lee of the date of his birth on the license plate. Which is, dang it, I forgot the date, but it's there. So that was actually a cool little tribute. And Wanda is just we all have those days like Wanda just want to lay in bed in the clothes you wore the night before, had a rough night. And you're just kind of, I don't want to get up today. I don't want to do anything, right? And then the Tommy and Billy's, PlayStation, games are turning into kind of flipping out a little bit. She's losing control, and you can see it. So they go from GameCube controllers to Atari controllers to the game of Uno, right? And Wanda just she goes up to be like, no, I don't want to be bothered. And she thinks, you know what? Today is going to be a day. I'm going to teach myself a lesson. I'm just going to lay in bed and do nothing today. That'll teach me. So as she continues, Billy's like, oh, where's Dad? Is he coming? He's like, well, if he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't have to be here. We won't go look for him. And then Agnes comes in and takes the kids away, and then Wanda's starting to see that the TV's all flipping out, and she doesn't know why. She can't control everything. Even the milk, when she goes for her sugar snaps, change from, almond milk to the 60s and 70s milk, and she's like, okay, that's cool. Whatever. Like, she's unfazed by all of this, right? So she doesn't know what's kind of going on, and she's just like, oh, I'm kind of whatever. And Vision wakes up on the carnival, and they think he's a clown. And Darcy is an escape artist because she was all chained up, and then she's asleep until Vision kind of wakes her up, and they go en route to go save Wanda, right? And one of the sword agents was the ringmaster, trying to get them to tame the lions, and it was actually pretty funny. They steal a funnel cake truck, and they start heading out, and Vision's starting to kind of remember who he is, but he doesn't remember he was Vision. He just is getting cliff notes. He's getting the cliff notes version of his life. He was killed by Thanos and Wanda to get rid of the Mind Stone, and he's like, wow. And he's starting to kind of understand, like, wow, I don't remember any of this, but to Wanda, it was only weeks ago this all happened. So he's trying to understand it, and then he has a little fourth wall break, and he's like, you know what? Why am I doing this? Like, takes off the mic and then goes after Wanda and leaves Darcy in the truck. Jimmy Woo and Monica go meet with the astronauts, and there's like, there they are, and we just think it's like, okay, we're gonna get John Krasinski and the Fantastic Four. No, just some random sword agent. Big ol' letdown. It's actually really upsetting. So we get that reveal, and then she's starting to realize, like, oh, she gets her truck to go into the hex, and as she's driving in, the hex is now changing the tank that was built to Monica's specs is now being turned into a truck, and then she jumps out, and she's like, the only way, and it's overly dramatic, how she goes back into the hex, and she jumps in, and she's fighting through, and she's getting all of her, different rays of who she is, like she was Geraldine, she was a pilot, she was a daughter, and she's starting to hear all these voices again. You get the clip from Captain Marvel when they're going into space, be like, oh, I'll go meet you halfway, right? And then she walks in as herself, remembering everything, and now she can see like cosmic rays, I guess, or stuff that doesn't really look right, and her eyes turn blue. And she closes them, they go back to normal, and she goes look for Wanda. When she meets Wanda, she goes and she tries to calm her down, like, look, this is what's happening, and then they have like a big ol', not like a fight, but they have an argument, and then Wanda's like trying to push her out again, and she's like, no. She's like, don't lay hay with the villain, like, you are behind all of it. Wanda's yelling at Monica, like, you're behind the missiles, you're behind Sword, and now you're trying to, bring the fake Pietro's, like, that wasn't us, and they're giving us the idea, like, oh, Pietro's not really Pietro, and we don't know who he is. So that's a big question. It could be, I'll talk about who he's working with in a second, but she lets go, and then she just does a superhero landing, and her eyes turn like blue again, and she's like, oh, we're about to get a superhero smackdown, and she's become Photon at this point. She doesn't know her powers just yet, but she knows she now has powers, and she can see all these different cosmic rays, and when you see, it's like a trip, like she looks at it, and when she was going into the hex, it was like kind of like a Doctor Strange kind of thing, like seeing all different versions of herself, just all crazy. So she gets in there, and voila, she's now inside the hex again. And she's all in the hex and everything. So Vision is with Darcy driving to the truck before he leaves. It's just like somebody is keeping Vision away from Wanda, right? We don't know if it's Wanda, we don't know if it's the other person that I'm about to reveal in a minute, but you see that there's always this, something's happening here. And then those kids come back again. Like, first they have a trap, they have so many red lights, then they have to work on the red light, and then there's kids crossing, and that when the kids crossing, Vision's like, oh, because they're doing Westview is for the children, and we're now starting to see the children around. Right, so Vision takes off to go see what's going on. And Agnes goes out to pretty much break up the fight between Monica and Wanda. Once she does that, she kind of brings her inside, like, oh, because she was watching the kids and the kids are missing, so she's going to brew her some tea. Tea? Like I'm drinking right now? Enough. So and she's like, oh, they must be in the basement. And this is where we get outside of the hex, because when we go into the basement, it starts to change, and it's super fucking creepy, right? It's now turned into the real world, and Wanda's now looking around, and it's satanic, like it's a witch den, right? And we see this book, and we now know it's the Darkhold. The Darkhold has a very interesting history in the MCU, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when it was following the continuity of the MCU, we got a clip of the Darkhold, and I want to say in Season 3, and it's supposed to be the source of all evil, right? All evil magic and stuff like that. So we're now getting an idea like there is something mystical going on, which leads to the mystic arts, which is Doctor Strange. If I knew how to do effects, I'd do the little circles, right? So that's actually kind of cool. And then Agnes comes out and is like, Wanda, it's finally glad to meet you. I'm Agatha Harkness. And we're like, oh. Finally, she admits it, who she is, and it's so great. And we now find out that Agnes is behind everything. And you see, she gets a little intro, and it has the melody of the Monsters. And I've heard some debate that it's the Addams family, but we didn't get the snaps or anything like that, so it's actually more the Monsters. They had more of a groovy beat to it. So we now see that Agnes is, putting herself in that situation. She's behind Herb, and she uses her eyes. Wanda has red hex powers, and she uses purple hex, and maybe that's just an effect to kind of differentiate between who's good and who's evil, but that was actually kind of cool, right? And we now know who killed Sparky. It was Agnes, the monster. Oh my goodness! And then she even put Pietro there, and we don't know if it's we now know it's not the Quicksilver from the Fox universe. Well, we don't know, but at the same time, we kind of know, like, they're working together. We don't know in what capacity, right? After that happens, we just now are just blown away to the next episode, and now I'm just wondering what's going on. And if you don't catch this on the first time, I don't blame you, because you have to go back, and now I'm pretty sure when you watch this podcast, listen or watch this video, you're gonna now go back and watch the end credit scene, and then that's Monica going into the basement, and Pietro is right there. He's like, well, Snooper's going Snoop. And then we don't see anything. And then it just cuts into the credits. So that was actually a pretty cool Easter egg of what's going to happen next, because either Pietro's going to join up with them and try to stop Agnes, right, because maybe Magneto's a part of it, because I seen a promo video and it looked like they have Michael Fassbender's Magneto, so I'm kind of excited. But at the same time, we know that we probably don't know that's going to happen. Now that we have everything that's going on, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of, about to be revealed. We have 2 episodes left to the season finale. We have next week and the following week. And we're going to see what's about to happen, and we don't know who's going to be the big bad. I now think it is Mephisto, because we have the Darkhold. We have Agnes always wearing her brooch everywhere. That's supposed to hold... we all speculate that it's holding Mephisto's soul, and we don't see who Ralph is, so it could be him, or maybe Ralph is the mailman. We don't know. He's delivering mail suspiciously. I don't trust that man. Then again, I don't really trust mailmen or people in general, so. Right? And it's just leading up to what's about to happen next, and I'm just so amazed at what's about to happen. We're about to see who's doing what, and what's going to happen with Monica and becoming Photon. And when Monica meets the astronauts, and I think it's Lieutenant Cobb or something, I don't know. But we now see what's kind of going on. But she has like this little resonance, like, oh, your mom would have been proud. We weren't just loyal to your mother. And hinting at Captain Marvel, and she's like, oh, okay, great, Captain Marvel again. I really want to know what's going on with her, why she had such a distaste for Carol Danvers. Fuck me. So, we're starting to see everything kind of come full circle. Now we're going to see in the next couple episodes, Agnes is the real villain, and she's behind everything, but she's not behind the hex. I think Wanda has the ability to manipulate reality because she came from the Mind Stone, which is kind of a weird Infinity Stone to have power, control over mind, yes, but not control over reality. Don't know right now, but what we do know is that Wanda probably created the hex, and Agnes, or Agatha, is now creating all the mishaps everywhere. Like, she was behind the fiasco in episode 2 with the magic show. She randomly came in for no reason during the first episode and everything, so she's behind everything inside of Westview. Whether she's behind the hex is a whole different story, right? Which leads us to believe, what's really going to happen here, and who's this big reveal, right? It could be that we are going to get Michael Fassbender's Magneto, or maybe the X-Men, and Wanda creates them in this reality. We don't know that yet, but we now know that the Wanda Vision show is supposed to lead into the Multiverse of Madness. Magnus. I just reread the House of M storyline, so Magnus is stuck in my head, right? The famous line, "No more mutants." Right, so we're about to get, it's underlined, hinted that she has this power. Right, so we don't know how far her powers have gone, because we never really explored Wanda's powers, and no one's really called her the Scarlet Witch just yet, and I think this is where she's going to get her creative little nickname. So it's kind of up in the air what is up with this, and I speculate that we're going to now see that Mephisto is behind it, and the spirit of Tommy and Billy are just pieces of Mephisto's soul, just like they were in the comics originally, so she's now going to have to fight for her kids and to keep them in this reality. And that's where Wanda and Vision's like, well, we got to go fight for our home, just like we've seen in one of the trailers. So it is going to be a very interesting thing to see in this next couple of episodes, right? We're going to see I think the final episode is going to be the big, showdown between everybody, and then that's when, whether Pietro is going to be on her side or not. And it's going to be interesting because we don't know if Pietro or Peter, right? If Peter is the one working with her because of some unknown forces, or they're just randomly allies. We don't know who he is, right? We know he's pretending to be Wanda's brother, or maybe it's another version, right? So it kind of is up in the air, like what his role is, especially with that ominous kind of mid-credit scene. You know, like, oh, Snoopers are gonna snoop, like, and probably just stop Monica and then just like team up with Agnes or Agatha. I'm just gonna keep saying Agnes because I just keep going back and forth between the two. So Agnes until I can get used to saying Agatha, and even Agnes is a combination of Agatha Harkness, right? So smash together to make Agnes. So it is really up in the air, and I'm really interested to see like what's gonna happen next. I know I don't really have a lot to kind of say in this episode. Normally, I have Isaac here to kind of help me feed into what happens next or get bounce around theories with. Although I really wish I knew where he was right now. You know, cut back into something with Isaac. But guys, that's all I really have for you this week. I know this is a pretty short podcast, and I know I normally would go longer, but you know, I'm just here by myself and just kind of quick thoughts of everything. I've already seen the episode like 3 times to kind of catch as many clues as I can. And we got the Darkhold, we got even the dome itself. It even has a little hexagon shapes, and now we know. Oh my God, the director of Sword is about to go storm in and try to take over the hex, right? And they're probably just, now they're in the modern age, it's not gonna, the tanks are gonna turn into tanks. They're not gonna be rewritten into something else. Hayward, that's his name. Hayward's going in, so we're gonna have a battle on 2 fronts, really. I think one episode is gonna focus on Agatha and stopping her, and the other half is gonna be not Magneto, but stopping Sword of whatever's going on, because we now know that Vision wasn't being decommissioned. He was trying to be turned back online to become a weapon for S.H.I.E.L.D. Not for S.H.I.E.L.D., for Sword. So we now know that, you know, there are two significant villains. We got Hayward and S.H.I.E.L.D., and we have Agatha, or Agnes. I did it again. So we now know we're having 2 different sides about to have to fight, right? So I think they're going to take these next 2 episodes to fight each threat. One's going to focus on Hayward, the other one's going to focus on Agnes. Which one comes first is beyond me, but I think Agnes is going to be left to the end to give us our big reveal of what's going to happen next. Whether we're going to see Doctor Strange, we're going to see the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, or something. But whatever reveal we're going to get is going to come at the very end. Right? And we're going to get this next episode to kind of find, I'm pretty sure this is where we're going to fight S.H.I.E.L.D. in episode 8. And then episode 9 is going to be the big reveal and, you know, finish up the series. And whether we're going to get a second season of Wanda Vision, probably not. But it is, you know, to be speculated. Another thing on this episode in particular, we have the famous commercials every episode. We have the Hydra soap. We have the Stark toaster. But this one was for an antidepressant pill called the Nexus. Now, a Nexus level being is like Kang the Conqueror or the Phoenix, Jean Grey, and Wanda, because there are Omega level threats, right? Because Kang's not a mutant, but Jean Grey and Wanda are, and they're classified as Omega level mutants. So that's kind of like what's going on here, the nexus of reality here, and I think that's where they're kind of getting in. And it's even funnier. Like, I think the side effects of the Nexus pill were kind of funny. They're like, speaking your truth could lead to more depression. It was kind of funny, and to me it was kind of funny, right? A little joke there, but you really kind of get the feel of like there's something bigger at play here, and Nexus is just kind of like a small Easter egg, kind of teasing that Wanda is a Nexus. Like, Wanda has the power to now manipulate reality. So who do you think the villain's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Mephisto? Do you think it's just going to be S.H.I.E.L.D.? Not S.H.I.E.L.D., Sword? Do you think it's going to be Agnes being the only villain and her not working for anyone, which would be very disappointing? But what do you guys think? I want to know your thoughts. Leave it in the comment section below, or if you're listening to us on Spotify, be sure to go on Facebook on our Hookahologists page and leave a comment there as well. Like, who do you think the villain is? What do you think is going to happen next? I'd really like to know that thought. That's all I really have for you guys this video. I do appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and share it out with your friends and get other people's thoughts. It would really help us out here on the channel. And if you want to be a supporter of the podcast, be sure to click the link in the description to send us to our listener support page. And for 99 cents a month, you too can support the cinema cinematography podcast to keep us up and running over here, because I got bills to pay. I gotta put the lights on in this place. And until next time, guys, keep smoking.